Hello all you wonderful people found on the information superhighway to the 71st episode of Weird Mind Newsroom, where I talk about all things media, which includes a lot of new releases for this week, a fair few trailers, and a quiet selection of very small stories making a lot of news for this week. So let's waste too much time in introductions and let's get talking about all things media from this week.
Great! I'll grab my stuff!
The first of the new releases for this week is a film that has been 40 years in the making, from a director who has been known for creating some of the most finest pieces of film and entertainment media. And after countless issues getting things off the ground and some behind the scenes jargon, Francis Ford Coppola is back once again with the massive passion project of his, aptly titled Megapolis. The new film will see a clash of concepts become a focus between Caesar Catalina, played by Adam Driver, a genius artist who seeks to leap into a utopian idealistic future, as opposition of Mayor Franklin Cicero, played by Giancarlo Esposito, who remains committed to a regressive status quo, perpetuating greed, special interests, and partisan warfare to rebuild the city after an unexpected disaster brings them to clashing concept. Reception to this film has been quite divisive since the release of the project back at the film festivals earlier this year, with praise to the cast and performances, the concept, and some visual aesthetics. However, the biggest issues that have come from it is the focus of story and the morals, and some things becoming very confusing to follow over its 2-hour runtime, with a lot of conflicting reviews, as some highs as 8s and 9s with lows of like 3s and 4s. But if you want to check it out for yourself, this whole passion project comes together, then you can catch this new film out now in cinemas. The next film to release from this week is taking the audience deep into the woods, where things may seem calm from face value, but in reality some more sinister than at first glance, as we have the new thriller horror film of Never Let Go. The plot is set in a period where an unspeakable evil has taken over the world and wiped out most humanity, except for a mother and her 2 sons, with their only form of protection being their house in the woods and their strong bond. Needing to stay connected at all times, which includes a rope connected to the house, they must cling to one another and never let go. However, when one of the boys starts to question if the evil is real, the ties that bind them together are severed, triggering a terrifying fight for survival. Reception to this new thriller has been a little mixed, just keeping it into the decent with praise to the performances, questions it raises, and the tension and fear, with most critiques stemming to the convoluted outcome as well as some of the questions and the heavily debated opinion on the themes and questions of the ending that may be different to other audiences. But if you want to find out and answer these questions for yourself, then you can catch this new film out now in cinemas. The first of the streaming-based content for this week that initially was supposed to come out in cinemas last week is seeing 2 big-name stars from action, serious film pieces teaming up for the job of being hired to take care of business and to clean up some messes, as we receive the all-new film from John Watts, George Clooney, and Brad Pitt with Wolves. The film follows a pair of professional fixers, to be played by Clooney and Pitt, who clean up any mess or issues that may arise from clients' calls, who are forced to work together on a job when they would prefer to operate as lone wolves, but it's not going to be always that easy. Reception of this film has been decently received, with praise to the comedic nature of the film, with the likable charisma of the main leads bickering like an old married couple, though the film falls into the usual aspects of the similar films in the past. But if you want to check out for these new film with 2 great leading men, you can catch this new film out now on Apple TV+. The next of the films is surprisingly, you may not realize, but we have a film based on a comic book character this week, and we've seen the form of this character already adapted 3 different times in the last 20 years. But the demon detective is back again with a new face and new mission in the all-new film of Hellboy, the Crooked Man. The film will follow Hellboy and a rookie BPRD agent who find themselves stranded in 1950s rural Alpacia, where they soon discover a community of witches led by a local devil who has a form connection to Hellboy's past. Reception of this film from the small amount of reviews I've seen is a little bit mixed, but more on the negative side, that while they praise the efforts of being made from more small-scale horror and the performance of Jack Casey as the titular character, the film is just lacking in a lot of substance that really appeal to many fans of the character. But if you want to check it out for yourself, then you can catch this new film out now in cinemas here, with it releasing in the US next week on video on demand. The final film for this week, and the only documentary-based film on this list, is a film that will see an iconic face in entertainment and comedy travel around the country with an old friend that's had a life-changing reality happen to them, in a concept that, is going to be, heavily opinionated on stuff. But we have this all new documentary of Will and Harper. The film will follow the partnership of actor Will Ferrell and Harper Steele, who both starred and worked together for many years on SNL and some of Ferrell's big film characters, and have had a strong bond since then. However, back in 2021, during the pandemic, Harper sent an email to Will and many friends in the industry that they would be transitioning from a man to a woman, and the film follows them on a a cross-country road trip to learn and find themselves, the change in how learning to accept and feel comfortable, and the whole changing realities and stuff on who they are in a life-altering journey. Reception to this documentary has been actually very well highly praised, with the focus on the topic at hand, the comedy, and the real tone nature it takes of it, instead of it feeling like overly staged and scripted. Sure, I know the case a lot of people will have their opinions about the topic of transgender treatment and the concept itself, but it's understand that not everyone is going to have the same opinion. As long as you can kind of respect others, or respect kind of different people, see them as people in their choice in a valid manner on both sides, and less, demonizing them, then it's understandable. But if you want to head on this journey yourself, then you can catch this new documentary now on Netflix. And now we have the games for this week, and we shall start with a game that is not another rehash or a new remake or remaster for the moment, but instead of an all-new title in the long-running beloved franchise. But it now makes sense in the title of the game, as they're after a very long time, if they've appeared in the main lead role, the Princess of Hyrule is off on her own quest to save her kingdom with the all-new game of The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. In this new adventure, you will take on the role of Princess Zelda for the first tie in a mainline game, unless you count the CDI games. As you go on a quest to restore Hyrule and rescue Link from the corrupted tears across the land with the power of the Tri-Rod, a magical artifact provided by the fairy Tri, in order to create elements of echoes and armies to fight by your side, restore the kingdom back to its former glory. Reception to this game has been very highly praised, with a love of the return to classic Zelda perspective and the unique creativeness of the recent 3D Zeldas, and are playing as the title character for the first time. Though some item management and elements of the combat aspects are a little messy, but not overly much of an issue. And if you want to go on a new quest, then you can play this new game out now on the Nintendo Switch. And next, on the first of the remasters I'll be delving into this week, is a game that I loved playing when I was a little bit younger, that took an iconic character that was known for bright colors and adventure, was about to take on a very darker and grim quest, armed with the power of a magic paintbrush, as he received the remaster of Epic Mickey Rebrushed. So the game will follow the original 2010 Wii game, where you play as Mickey Mouse, who after a mishap with a magic paintbrush in Yen Sid's lair, created a corrupted creature known as the Blot, who sends our hero into a place called the Wasteland, a once magical world for forgotten tunes corrupted by the Blot's power. With the power of the magic paintbrush, Mickey sets off on a quest to save Wasteland, restore peace, and maybe learn of some forgotten long faces along the way, including a certain lucky rabbit. Reception to the remaster has been very well received, with praise to the fixes of the previous version of the camera and some gameplay controls, as well as some of the more visually updated and appealed visuals, though some elements like the morality system and some frame rate issues have earned some critiques for some publications of all the different platforms. Now all I know is I'm looking forward to receiving the childhood gaming classic, to me in particular, real soon, and hopefully if it's successful, we get the sequel as well. But if you want to play it for yourself, you can play it now on the Nintendo Switch, PS4 and 5, Xbox One and Series X and S, and PC. And the last one for this week I'm not really going to waste too much time on, as one, you know what to expect, and two, I have no interest in the title anyway, and I've rambled on new releases long enough, as it's that time of year again to hit the pitch and say goodbye to your partners and your friends, as we have the newest entry of EA's flagship sports series with EA FC 25. The new game will have all your favorite elements like the previous titles of football, Ultimate Team, and new elements like Rush Mode and other online elements to play with friends around the world. Reception in this title has been well received, with praise to some of the new features like the Rush Mode, though many are starting to tire of the overplayed formula of the series. But if this is what you wait for every year and not play much else, then you can play this new game now on PS4 and 5, Series, Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch and PC. But I'll stick to the other games in particular. And with that, that's all the new releases that we have for this week.
The edge of the universe and back.
Okay, so to start off the trailers for this week is something that you are probably still thinking is a little bit too early to be talking on said subject, but we have a new festive Christmas film on the horizon with quite the array of big name stars giving a new take on the festive season with a new trailer for Red One. The film will see Santa Claus, or as he's known as Red One, played by J.K. Simmons, be kidnapped by a dastardly villain on the eve of the holidays. In order to restore balance, an elf, that's short for extremely large and formidable operative, played by Dwayne Johnson, joins forces with the world's most accomplished tracker, that's played by Chris Evans, to help find the festive icon and help save Christmas from catastrophe. So the likes of this project has been the likes of supposed development messiness, it was supposed to come out last year, but I guess it was affected with the likes of the strikes, affecting the marketing, and now pushed from streaming to the big screen. But I do hope that we have some same director who gave us those last two Jumanji films that, the marketing's a bit hit or miss, the film could actually be really good. We don't know. But I guess we'll have to find out when the film releases in the cinemas on November 8th. So the next trailer to hit the internet this week was one I was actually expecting to see more release in about another month or so's time, given the franchise it is part of is currently releasing a weekly series right now and another film out before this. But I guess after a leak from D23, they decided to throw it to the wild as a new group of unlikely characters from the wider MCU we forced to team up whether they like it or not, as if they've gotten the first trailer for a new team of Thunderbolts. Asterix. The film will see an unlikely odd team up of Red Guardian, Yelena Belova, Ghost, US Agent, Taskmaster, and Bucky Barnes go on missions for the American government with possibly being employed that if they are killed in the mission, it would not be a massive effect. So like this film has been a mixed array of opinions of many for the last while, and this gives an element of the MCU equivalent of the Suicide Squad, but from what I've got from the first trailer, I think it looks pretty decent, and I think people are starting to turn around a bit more. It's a bit more gritty, it's not overly complicated with the jokes and stuff, and it's action-packed, but I guess we'll have to see how this plays out and get more of a plot soon enough when the mission will be hitting the big screen from May 2nd of next year. The third trailer from this week is delving into focus of the realm of battles, bloodshed, and asking the question of, are you not entertained? As after a 20-year-long gap and attempt of some madcap original sequel concept, Ridley Scott has taken us back to the day of the Roman Empire and arena conflict as we have received the new trailer for the sequel to Gladiator. The sequel story will follow Lucius, played by Paul Mescal, the former heir of the Roman Empire, who becomes a gladiator after his home is invaded by the Roman Empire, led by General Marcus Aurelius, I think he's played by Pedro Pascal, during the reign of the co-emperors of Caracalla and Geta, and will fight his way to restore his honor and his home from what was taken. So I think with the likes of the first trailer that had shown for was a bit of a weird tonal aspect that was a bit too more upbeat and comical at times, and it didn't help with the music choice for the trailer either. But this one feels more of a closer tone to the original, the big spectacle that Scott is known for, and this one makes me more intrigued from this, and hopefully the film will turn out well. We'll see how it all comes together when released in the cinemas November 15th. Now our second last trailer for this week is if you're unaware or not fully initiated, but in the world of one of the most beloved video games of all time, September 26th is known by many to the Last of Us series as Outbreak Day, when the element of the cordyceps fungus has started to become a worldwide emergency in the beginning of the apocalypse. And from that day is what the series gets something new and exciting from the event, like merch, costumes, action figures, all that sort of good stuff. And thankfully, a big one just dropped as after much anticipation, we have finally gotten the first trailer for the upcoming second season of the video game adaptation of The Last of Us. The plot of this season will of course follow the plot of the massive, critically acclaimed and heavily divisive sequel that will see some time jumps, new faces, romances, heartbreaks, and other parts of survival as they will be delving into the massive story of that game and focus heavily on a different theme compared to season 1, where that was about love and hope. This one is about hate and revenge. So it's a case I cannot delve too much into the narrative as I'm trying to best avoid spoiling it, but all I can say is that the visuals are looking great, I am very much hyped, and I am set to experience some very upsetting moments from the game's narrative translating to a series in 4K, and some initiatives made for the series to expand on some other elements. And if it's anything like the first season, especially with episodes 3 and 5, then I am ready to cry myself to sleep at night again, watching them with maybe the person I watched them with the first time around, because we enjoy them both. And would recommend playing part 2 if you haven't already, if you have the chance on PS5 or PS4 or 5. The series at the moment has no official release date, but we can expect this new series releasing sometime in the first half of 2025. And now the final trailer from this week is bringing us back into the world of hired assassins, well-tailored suits, and a lot of guns, and the societal aspect hidden right under our noses, as we have a new spin-off on the way from the world of John Wick, with a new perspective on this world and getting out there for revenge, as we have received the first trailer for the new film of Ballerina. The film will take place in between Parabellum and Chapter 4 of John Wick, and focus on Eve Macaro, played by Ana de Armas, a ballerina assassin who trains under the assassin tradition of the Ruska Roma, which that one was hosted by Angelica Houston. And with the help of a certain familiar faces on the way, including one Baba Yaga, she will hunt down with her expertise skills to find the one responsible for the death of her family. So truth be told, the John Wick films have just gotten better and better all the time with these movies, and it's to say the series really revived that feel of close quarters action and gunfights really well, while making it look cool in the process. And so far from the trailer, this looks like it's on that level, and has some scenes that are badass. Another thing that someone I can care about will envision themselves in this when we watch this down the line. But I am very excited to see this when the film releases in the cinemas on June 6th next year. And with all that, that's all the new releases that we have for this week.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
Right, to start the news stories for this week, we are delving into the world of video game news, as coming in just a few days ago on Tuesday night, when Sony has come along and announced the next broadcast their own form of Nintendo Direct with the State of Play, where they could spend about 40 minutes going over some new content announcements and updates to the upcoming state of games the rest of this year and beyond to the next year. Personally, in case I felt this Direct was kind of okay, nothing really of note besides maybe one or two big titles in this, but I'll give a quick rundown of all that was unveiled at this event. So in the most events that start off with was the game that has been making their success as of last few weeks, and that is the critical darling that is Astrobot, where they announced that the game will be getting some new free DLC later this fall that includes some new Astrobot characters, new missions, and new levels and challenges to explore in this platforming delight. And I'll for sure be giving this a playthrough at some point when I get the chance, and it looks like more fun than is on the way for the system that is needing it at this point. The next game was one that caught my attention in this format. It was made a new game for the Midnight Walk that it made into this like a stop motion claymation one. It has more corrupted Sackboy look meets Little Nightmares and Tim Burton aesthetics, and does look like really fun to try out soon. I will keep an eye when it releases on the PS5 and the VR option as well with it at some point soon. The next game unveiled was a look at a new title of Hell Is Us, and focus on a game that is a bit of Souls-like in combat. The main character looks a bit like Sam Bridges from Death Stranding, and some of the main focal enemies look a bit like the pre-merged Spot from Across the Spider-Verse, but it kind of looks like it could be worth a try, or released at some point in the near future. Next on the solely focused VR titles of the State of Play, we are heading into the near dystopian future and under the vast city of Russia, as we are returning to the popular Metro series with Awakening. Now, I'm not sure where in this timeline is set. It's either a prequel or one of the main games in the trilogy in some regards, but I guess we'll learn more about the lore when it's dropping into VR systems from November 7th of this year. And then taking another form of a Souls-like game, which I apologize, it sounds like the same, but they have a similar move structure. As a look of a bit of a fantasy and a tone of a Witcher series game, we have the new title of Arc Age Chronicles, which does look very detailed and full of life and action. This fantasy game may be worth checking out when it releases sometime next year. Now, probably the only most awkward timing announcement from this presentation, but they unveiled that the Pokemon type parody game of Pal World has hit the PS5 on the day of the event, and coming just nearly a week after the legal proceedings were filed by Nintendo about it all. It will have to be seen if there's an outcome in which the ordeal, but I guess we'll see how the success of the PS5 and the legal woes play out. So then the case was unveiling a few little kind of roundups of some new DLCs and remasters, which started with a remaster collection of the classic Lunar games from the original PlayStation, and those titles will be able to play from the spring of next year. Then the case of the Heroes in a Half Shell are getting a new additional update to the Shredder's Revenge game that will include some new bosses and additions of the game, as well as some new soundtrack and music for the game to choose and play through, and with that title releasing for the console on that same day, just the new updates and stuff. And then tying in with the highly anticipated third Sonic movie coming this December, the upcoming release of the Generations remaster will include this Sonic movie tie-in DLC for Shadow, with the Hedgehog also being voiced by Keanu Reeves himself, and that'll be releasing a week before the film on December 12th. Then the director of the upcoming Fantasian game gave a new look at the gameplay of the upcoming title of Neo Dimension, and given a confirmed release date for the console of December 5th for this year. Then on the presentation was a look at BioWare of the newest entry in the popular Dragon Age franchise with the Veilguard, with the group teaming up to take on a pair of dragons and sorcerers, with a focus on combat gameplay. It doesn't look too bad, it may be worth a try and hopefully a big success for BioWare after a bit of a rough few years when the game launched this Halloween on October 31st. Then we got a tease that sounds like it was going to be a sequel to the game of Control being announced, but turns out it was actually the second big DLC expansion for last year's Alan Wake 2 with The Lake House that may connect to the other game and is confirmed for release some point this October. Then he asked the question, have you ever wanted to become a famous bald man assassin with a barcode in his head? Then you are in luck, as an all-new VR format for Hitman World of Assassination is on the way this December, letting us get up close and personal with his methods, which looks goofy, but is probably worth a try when it does release this December. And another blast from the past was getting their own HD remaster treatment, as the Soul Reaver duology of Legacy of Kain was unveiled, with the similar elements of being able to switch at ease from classic and HD look, similar to this year's Tomb Raider trilogy remaster, and will be worth a try when the pack drops on December 10th this year on the console. And the first of the many titles available by Blumhouse was shown off with a new quick look at Fear the Spotlight, which is taking a look and inspiration of the PS1 style game graphics, and will be making a spooky tale worth a try when it drops on the console on October 22nd, just in time for Halloween. And then there was a basis of fantasy-based farming life sim unveiled with the look at the Towers of Abasha shown off with some nice new visuals and appealing aesthetics shown, and worth a try when it comes to PS5 this November in the form of early access. Then we had a bit of a random announcement for Fortnite, with local co-op play coming to the Lego Fortnite section, and then a new PS5 design controller that was announced, and I feel it's maybe doing a little too much in design on it, and especially on a nice controller like the Starlight Blue controller, of course. And both will be arriving some point later this year. Next then, they unveiled an all-new look at the next entry in the Dynasty Warriors series, with Origins as a more like a 10,000 to 1 gameplay hack and slash, and looks like a good bit of fun, and now has been given an official release date of January 17th next year, so look forward to that for all you fans out there. And then, if not the only title given a release day announcement, as after a bit of time, the next entry of the Monster Hunter series with Monster Hunter Wilds was given a new look at the story and gameplay, and also provided many a release day as the hunt begins for the fans from February 28th of next year. Now, after a bit of speculation and promotion of the unveiling, they finally given a new look at the upcoming LEGO Horizon Adventures game, which has also provided a release date for the upcoming project for now hitting the console as well as for the Switch and PC from November 14th. And it was not the only piece of Horizon news to be announced, as it was confirmed that we are getting a remaster of the original 2017 game and releasing on October 31st of this year. Now personally, I think this remaster is unneeded given the game has a PS5 port with a complete collection and looks great as it is, but I guess this is just the new norm now. Then the new title of Still a Blade got an announcement of new DLC in the form of a photo mode, new outfits, and the availability of listening to the soundtrack of the game on all Spotify and listening music apps, as well as the confirmation that we'll be seeing a crossover with the Nier Automata series, with both of them coming out some point later this year. Then we had the roundup of announcements of the PS Plus titles, including October's free games, which is WWE 2K24, Dead Space Remake, and Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. Then they also unveiled some classics for the higher price format, which includes Legacy of Kain, Blood Orman, and the original Dino Crisis. And that to coincide with Outbreak Day, they put The Last of Us Part 1 on the service on Thursday. And then coming up near the end of the event was the unveiling of 3 new colors of base plates and controllers for the slim PS5, including Indigo, Pearl, and Teal, with most of them all available from next week on October 3rd, and most likely be able to obtain much more easier than the scalper prices that have been made for the recently announced PS1 Classic color range. Then they showed off some more supposed updated visuals of the PS5 Pro for many games like Gran Turismo, Ratchet & Clank, Final Fantasy, Last of Us, and many more. I'm still thinking there's nothing really else new for this console besides being more expensive, having similar specs as like the Series X had at launch. But it's all well and done, that went into one final announcement. And that final game was probably the most hyped and probably best announcement from the event, and that was a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima with the new game of Ghost of Yotai. This will be set around 300 years after the first title, in a new protagonist, a new setting, and new weaponry, including some firearms, and it looks cool, and we'll see how this all comes together when it releases some point next year. But that wrapped up a pretty okay presentation. It could have been better, and I was hoping for at least a look at a release date or gameplay for the upcoming Snake Eater remake, as well as some first footage for the Insomniac Games Wolverine title. I guess what this, they're probably still too deep into development for that, or due to Tokyo Game Show having this week, which showed the trailer for that one anyway. But I guess be more in the future. But let me know your thoughts below on any of the titles announced you're looking forward to and what you hope to see from this event in particular. So on the next selection of much more shorter stories, the next group fall in the category on talking on some of the new announcements of release day announcements, updates, and some changes to 3 different stories of all forms of media, and we'll delve into those announcements now. So the first of the announcements is with a slight change of dates for the company I gave an in-depth discussion about last week, and that was with the company of Pixar. Now, it's not going to be another rant this week, so don't worry, but we have a little bit of an update in relation to 2 upcoming projects from the studio, and the first is the unveiling of a new short-form series based on the world of Inside Out, as announced at D23 of the series known as Dream Productions. And this week gave us on the interwebs the first look at the series, and the confirmation that the series will be releasing onto the streaming service from December 11th. Now, I know what you're thinking, but you thought there was another series that was also planned for December, and you were correct, as initially the new original series of Win or Lose was also supposed to release on December 6th, but now they confirmed the series to be releasing just a few weeks later now, from February 19th of next year, which is a bit of a shame, but in all honesty, I'm fine with it, and will give us a bit more time anticipation for the next Pixar original of Elio in June, so I can wait for a bit more time for stuff from this studio in particular. Now, next on the release block is with some news about everyone's favorite British-loving marmalade sandwich eating bear of Paddington. So you may be aware, but we have the release of the upcoming third movie of Paddington Peru for this character that's out in the next few weeks on November 8th over here, and in January in the US, and I am very excited for this project, as the first 2 films are such a delightful pair of movies and make me a better man, and I hope the third will be just as well beloved. But it seems like the momentum is not slowing down, as it sounds like even before the trip to Peru, we got confirmation early this week that we'll be getting a 4th film in the works, and also the confirmation of a TV series based on this version as well, because there's already an animated animated version of said character on kids TV. Now it's early days for both of these concepts, but they are eyeing for a 2027-2028 release for both projects, and if this is a new film and these two projects are just as entertaining and heartfelt as the first two, then I'm all for it, and hopefully we'll not find a nice send-off point for the series and not get to the level of overdoing it, but more Paddington in the moment is very much needed in this world, I believe. Now, the last release date change or announcement has come in the form of the next entry in the long-running series of historical figures that protect the innocent while hidden in the shadows, as of course with the Assassin's Creed series. Now, we do know that the next tile of shadows was going to be set for the long-requested era of feudal Japan, and so far, it looks good, although, racial discussions and stuff has been rampant on social media groups as per usual. But it looks like we'll be taking a little bit more time, as it was announced this week that the next title will be delayed from its initial November 15th release, and now releasing 3 months later on Valentine's Day next year. The main reason was to make it the best in the series, as this time period has long been requested, and they want to give it as much time to polish and perfect the project, which you can understand. But another reason also people have been pushing around is maybe due to the underperforming numbers for the recently released Star Wars Outlaws game, but I feel it was pick up come this Christmas period. I'll probably play more of that one, but I think moving it to a quieter time period may help the sales just a little bit more, but I can wait a little more time for this title in particular. But what are your thoughts on all these release date changes? Are you looking forward to any of them in particular? Let me know down below in the comments. Now, before we continue on the remaining stories this week, we do have one piece of sad news, and it is the passing of another iconic actress in the industry, and that is of course with the acting royalty of one Dame Maggie Smith. Now, she had been quite the long-established role in the industry of film, television, and Broadway, and through her wit and her dramatic roles, has earned her numerous accolades, including 2 Oscars, 5 BAFTAs, 4 Emmys, 3 Golden Globes, and a Tony Award, and known for many roles in the past, including California Suite, A Room with a View, Sister Act, the 1978 version of Death and Nile, and so many other roles, and many would know her for her role as Minerva McGonagall in the Harry Potter series, and Violet Crawley in the acclaimed series of Downton Abbey. Now, she passed away on Friday, September 27th, surrounded by her family at the age of 89, remains legend of stage and screen and British class. Rest in peace. So, just give it a moment. So moving on to a little bit more of a lighter note, next group of stories consists mainly solely on casting announcements for some upcoming projects mainly in the superhero realms for DC and other forms of comic series. I'll give a quick rundown of some of those projects now in particular. We'll start with the project that I've been bringing up a fair few times this month, and that is of course with the upcoming DC project based on the Lantern series. Now, as I mentioned in the past, there's been a lot of speculation about the casting for the upcoming series, with the focus on the much older Hal Jordan being a somewhat mentor for a young Jon Stewart, and maybe possibly for Guy Gardner, and many names were thrown around for Hal's role, including Ewan McGregor, Matthew McConaughey, and the frontrunner for a time was Josh Brolin. Now, after he dropped out there about 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was a bit of questionable speculation of who else may be rumoured, with one of those new additions being Chris Pine. But it seems now it is wrapped up, as we've now been somewhat confirmed that they have casted the role of Hal Jordan as with the actor of Kyle Chandler. Now, the name may not be recognisable or much of the face, but he has appeared in a few big name projects of the past, including the acclaimed Friday Night Lights, Manchester by the Sea, Mayor of Kingston, and in the Spielberg Abrams film of Super 8. So he has a fair bit of decent filmography. In all sense, he does have a distinct look with some classic comic characters, so I think he might do well. Now, it won't be the end of the speculation of this series, as Stewart still needs to be cast, and the supposed frontrunner is with Aaron Pierre, but I guess we'll have to see if this gets confirmed in the future, and I'll update when it does. Next, the casting news is taking us to the other DC project that is known for a release date in the film side, and that is with the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie. So if you've not heard much about this project in a little bit, besides the likes, the film is coming out in late June next year. It's being directed by Craig Gillespie, who did I, Tonya and Cruella. It's being written by Anna Nogueira, who is also penning the screenplay for the Teen Titans film for DC, and has been cast as Supergirl in the form of House of Dragon star and Australian actress of Millie Alcock. Since then has been quiet, as it focused more on the character's more known cousin, until just this week when another casting was made for the film in the form of actor Matthias Schoenaerts, who has been cast in the film as the main villain of Krem, the likes of the characters known as Krem of the Yellow Hills, who is a king's agent and warrior skilled in swordsmanship and archery, who kills the character of Rufy Mary Knoll, who becomes a companion to Kara and will be a form of a hunter in some regards for this character. Now, I think this seems like an interesting choice, and I like the aspect of some unknown villains and characters getting their screen presence, which Good is known for with the Suicide Squad and the Guardians trilogy. I do look forward to seeing how this all plays out, and while I'm unfamiliar with the villain, the actor chosen has a decent build and choice, so I'll see how this all comes along. And the last announcement comes not from Marvel, but from Amazon, as we are talking about the upcoming final season of The Boys. Now, the build-up for the final season is going to be massive with how the finale of season 4 is building it out to be, and it seems like no one is safe, but we also know that some new additions are still on their way. And that's the case with the new new cast announcement as we have a new addition in the form of actor and rapper Daveed Diggs. The most known roles you may know his actor for is with the Broadway show of Hamilton, the TV series of Snowpiercer, and the voice work in the likes of Pixar Soul, Disney's Zootopia, and the live-action The Little Mermaid film from last year. Now currently it's unclear of who will be playing in said final season and whether he be a civilian or a soup, but I guess we'll have to learn more about the final season develops and learn of his character and who he's playing soon. But what are your thoughts on these casting announcements, and do you think Diggs is playing in The Boys? Let me hear your opinions down below. The last news story is a compiling of some weird aspects of news that will combine together in some regard from either announcements, updates, and a rumor or two, but it could have been some speculation, so we'll delve into each of these aspects now. So, first news story item of this week is appeared at the end of last week, but due to only seeing it late, I thought I'd add in as this week's one, as this comes in the form of some new news regarding everyone's favorite webhead. Now, in the last few years, Spidey has had a fair successful outcome with the forms of films, comics, shows, and games. Now, it's a question of where we will see this story go next. We do know that the likes of the character will get a fourth film in the MCU, which was confirmed with the Shang-Chi director, and appear in the upcoming Avengers film with Doomsday. And going off some new reporting, there may be more in store for Peter Parker, as according to some reliable sources, it seems new deal is being struck with Marvel and Sony for Spider-Man's future that will consist of a new trilogy of Spider-Man's 4 through 6, as well as appearing in Avengers Secret Wars, as the last contract already guaranteed for Avengers 5, but also hinted at 2 other unknown project films as well. Now these ones could hint at any possibility. I feel one that could probably be a possibility is the Young Avengers films. That was hinted at the end of the Marvels, with him being a somewhat team leader with like so Kamala Khan, and the other is unclear, but maybe a crossover into like the Sonyverse of films or something, but I guess we'll have to find out in this more of a kind of future online. But it is a positive sign that your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man will be around for a bit more time, and that's always a good thing. And the last announcement or rumor to come from this week is taking a character that has had a bit of a dormant series of late, with attempts at reboots and even a game that came out last year that was actually pretty good from what I heard. It seems like one of Detroit's finest officers may be coming back in a new form and upgraded look, as he's been discussed in a new TV series based on the character and films of Robocop is in the works at Amazon Prime. So far it's unclear if this will be the likes of a reboot of this series again after the 2014 attempt with Joel Kinnaman, or if it'll continue that film story or from the original trilogy of films from the 80s and 90s, as well as the midquel of last year's Rogue City game. But I'm sure it'll be worth to see how this brings justice to the city. The likes of the original actor will be back in the metal enhancements, or someone new is on the scene, but we'll see how this project unfolds. Breeze, dirtbag. But all of that, I'd like to know your thoughts on the topics, and are you excited for more MCU Spider-Man appearances? And would you watch a new series on Robocop? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below, and we'll discuss them there. With all that, that's all of the news that we have for this week.
I won!
And now with all that, that's the end of episode 71 of We're My Newsroom, and this one is going to be long, so I apologize for that if you're tired of the long as Weird Mind episodes. Just so much media comes out. Anyway, I'll give it a quick few little updates, so keep this one quick and fresh. Right, so reviews wise, I'm currently just finished writing up Barbie. I'm in the middle of just finishing up Oppenheimer, so that reviews will be coming out some point this week. I'm gonna release them at the same time, just so as the case instance of like both the Oppenheimer and the Barbie films are both on their way. So we'll see how that turns out in records. Then I'm gonna do some other reviews. Might do another duology, one of the Dune films, as well as some other stuff like that in there. There's a few games I do want to do reviews on as well, likes of Red Dead and maybe Last of Us and stuff like that, but I'll work on that in capacity. Speaking of gameplays in The Last of Us, we will continue more of The Last of Us in particular. There should be another episode hopefully out before this episode drops, which I think is I'll probably upload in the next few minutes after I finish recording this. And in the case instance, I'm also going to start recording both Wonder and Cyberpunk some point this week as well in between. So I might just kind of hodgepodge around where I do like one day I'll do Cyberpunk, one day I'll do Last of Us, one day I'll do Mario Wonder, and just do a case where it's all finished and I'll get the next game. So you get that gist. And then probably maybe near the second half of October I'll do some horror games, but I'll see when down the line with that one. Then long form regards stuff as well. AI1 I still did a bit more writing on in capacity. I did a little bit more on the things in some sectors. I'm probably near halfway point at this point, or slightly over it, but I'll have to see. Rewatchathon, I'm going to get the last 2 bits up recorded, and then I'm going to just get them written down, and I'm going to upload the first half and then go work on the second half over the next little while, hopefully by the end of this year for both of those projects. And in case instance of other long form stuff like the Harmos Boar, I will get to it. Let me know below of any horror films that came out this year you think are really bad or just like really bad received, but I'll look into the capacity. Anyways then, I think that's everything I can talk about right now. I'm rushing too much. I've talked too long. My throat's hurting me right now. So I'm just going to get this out of the way. So thank you all for watching. And if you like what you see here and want to see more from me, and if you watch like the small audience, but I appreciate all the audience that watches it, then simply like and subscribe, as I upload new videos every single week. And I'm hoping to reach my goal by the end of this year of 100 subs. I'm at 88 subs now, so someone did unsub. Hopefully reviews will pick it up a little bit, but I'll see it on the line. Hopefully, if you know people that might enjoy my content, share it around and hopefully they will be of interest. And comment below of everything that was discussed this week as well, and give me your thoughts on everything that was announced this week. Like, did you see any new releases? Did you see any new stuff? Anything like that. But that's what I'll leave it for the moment. So, as always, you all stay being wonderful people and have a great day every day, and to keep being you because no one else can do what you do, and of course to take care of yourself because, you know, it's a strange world out there and a lot of harshness, and it's important to take care of yourself. So anyways, I'm gonna leave it there for now. As always, you all stay being wonderful people, and I'll see you all in the next episode. So take care. Goodbye.